this interview.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, definitely the show rocked. If you missed it, you missed a killer show.
I was surprised Sunday was that crazy.
Oh yeah.
It was great.
Where are you going to be touring next?
We're in Nebraska tomorrow. Obviously, all the tour dates are on DaveySuicide.com. But we're going to do a bunch of Midwest stuff, work our way to the East Coast, then down south to Florida, hit through Texas, Arizona, New Mexico, and we finish in LA April 9th. Yeah.
Where did the name come from? How did you come up with the name of the band?
Definitely. How did you come up with the name of the band?
The name of the band, I was kind of going through a low point in my life, and I've always felt like the only person that can stop you from attaining what you want is yourself. And I thought that if my name was Suicide, that I would always be reminded of that. And that's why I attached it to myself, and it went from there.
I love the name. It definitely registers a lot with me.
Have you always been supported by your family in everything that you've done?
No, not at all. It was a big pull. I think they always wanted me to go into sports, and since my parents were divorced since I was 3 and I had joint custody, I never had a steady home. I moved out when I was 16, and I was a terrible teenager. I mean, I was what any parent probably wouldn't want, but I found that music kind of gave me a place to escape to, and then when I started to share my songs with people, I realized that I wasn't alone anymore, and I reacquainted with my parents, a little bit farther down the road after that, and now they support what I do. I mean, they don't like your music, and I think if your parents like your music, you're probably not doing the right kind of music. But they support, and they know how hard that the band works and how hard I work, and they respect that a lot, and the perseverance that we've been through a lot, and we've survived, and we've gotten stronger, and now we're getting the opportunities we've always wanted to now. So,
what would you say is the hardest thing to overcome with the electronic age and so much music being pirated online? What is the hardest obstacle to overcome in that?
I think if you build a core fan base, you can overcome anything. I think for us, we sometimes get pushed to the side for bands that have a bigger label or bigger management, and the politics is more something that holds us back than actually the people want the music, they're going to get the music, and they're going to support the band. But I think just the inner workings of the music industry as a whole is pretty slimy, and when we miss out to bands that maybe not are as worthy, that's probably more frustrating than anything. So,
understandable.
Part of the game, though. I get it.
What would you say that the most rewarding thing about doing what you do is?
I mean, the release of just playing songs, and when they sing them back to you, I think that's a huge reward. Nights like tonight when we didn't know if there'd be anybody here that knew us, and the place was packed, and I think another thing that's really exciting is we're cooped up in California, and we don't necessarily know what the street budget is everywhere else in the country, everywhere else in the world. So to come here on a Sunday and it's just jam-packed, people know the words of the songs, it's really rewarding for us.
Awesome. If you could live in any century, what century would you live in?
I know it's already happened, so I would like to go forward. I would like to do something that outlives my lifespan and fast forward 100 years, and I'd like to see what the world looks like, and if it's probably gonna be like the Jetsons or Star Wars, and I'd be into that.
That would be cool.
Yeah,
see the future.
We know what happened roughly. I mean, compared to what the history books say, which could be fabricated, but the future is more interesting to me.
Definitely. Would you say that it is you that does the majority of the writing lyrically, or do you have people that you work with on this?
I do the lyrics, and I do most of the melodies. Needles, our keyboard player, is a big guy with instrumentation and song structure guy, and I normally do a lot of the arrangements. And then me and Needles will collaborate, and then we'll bring in Nico, our guitar player, and he'll kind of make everything cooler, and then we bring in Draven and retrack drums and stuff. But it starts with Needles and I generally, and then it goes from there. And this album, Made from Fire, Nico had such great guitar instrumentation on it. It's our best guitar album of the first 3 that we have, so I'm excited because I've always wanted that, like Axl and Slash, like Joe Perry, Steven Tyler, Rob Zombie and John 5, that kind of combination. I've always wanted that. Nico and I, we have that dynamic, which is fantastic.
For fans that have never heard your music before, how would you describe it?
I mean, I think there's this like uncontrollable force that we're creating. It's exciting again. It's got parts of the 80s, 90s, and the 2000 like new metal era, all in it, and we're taking it and putting a new kind of like refreshing vibe to it and taking it further. So I think anyone that likes the 80s rock or the 90s like industrial or like 2000s like new metal, I think would get into us because it's kind of where we see it going, and it's our interpretation of what we loved in those eras.
That makes sense. For somebody that's never listened to your music before, why should they listen to your music?
I think if they're looking for a reason to be excited about rock again, then they've come to the right place.
Awesome. I would agree with that. Just a personal perspective.
What are your goals for 2017?
Our goals for 2017, I really want Made from Fire to do well, just so that we show all the labels out there that's not even the labels. I want people, other bands, to realize you can do it yourself. You don't need this like cash cow that's not going to pay you back or pay you for what you do. Behind you can do it yourself. You got to be resourceful. You got to be smart. And you got to be relentless. But it can be done. And I think that's our first goal. Our second goal is we have a list of bands that we want to be touring with, and eventually we want to make sure that we can headline in some sound clubs on our own. So these are the short and long-term goals of 2017 into 2018. So we've stacked this year so far. So I'm excited to see where we go.
If you could tour with anybody, past, present, alive, dead, who would it be?
I think the ultimate tour for us would be kind of like maybe like a Rob Zombie, Manson, Korn, In This Moment, maybe Alice Cooper.
That would be a killer lineup.
We'll open for now, and then eventually we'll open for us.
I asked you about the setbacks of the modern generation and kind of how the music industry works. What do you think the biggest asset of that happens to be at this time?
I mean, we all have a way to reach people now where we didn't before. So as much as that has made things accessible, it's also we've got an obstacle out of the way. So I think that's something that everyone can utilize. It's an empowering thing, The downside is that everyone can have music out there and be in a band now. Where before it was a lot more work, because now people can just record something, put it out there, and they're a band. But I think unless you're touring and really doing it, I think
some of those are not quality.
The bedroom bands, whatever.
What would you say that the biggest thing a fan could do if they wanted to help you as a musician? Because I know a lot of aspects of musicianship nowadays are not as financially beneficial. Let's say a fan wanted to help you financially. What's the most beneficial thing that they can do to move that band forward?
I think right now, just if they wanted to get a bundle off our DaveySuicideMerch.com website, that'd be the biggest thing. We just want to make sure we launch this new record right. And I think if they can't do that, and they have our music played at a party, show their friends. It starts with the music, and there's a lot of songs I think people can get behind. So,
well, on behalf of Voodoo Queen Digital Magazine, I want to sincerely thank you for taking the time to sit down with us, do this interview.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it, darling.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Thanks for taking the time.
And definitely look forward you put on a killer show.
Thank you.
You
Tell
guys,
everyone where they can
peace
find
out.
you.
It was an awesome show. Tell everyone where they can find you online. How can they get a hold of your merchandise and your music?
At Davey Suicide is everything from Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Davey Suicide merch is where we have all of our pre-bundles. Pre-order bundles. Edit that.
Yeah.
Pre-order bundles. DaveySuicideMerch.com.
Yeah.
Get that shit. Turn it up to 12 and make your neighbors
And it
extremely
rocks,
angry.
dude.
Thanks for having us.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you.
Sweetheart.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.